Rookie of the Year in 1987, Ryan Shafer. In our semifinal game, we'll see two-time champion Brian Gobel. And our tournament leader, Bob Vespi, is one win away from the Bud Light PBA National Championship. And that's our field of five for today's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. Yes, the professional bowlers have returned to that friendly Ohio city called Toledo on the banks of the historic Maumee River. Look at it. Toledo, the glass capital of the world, reflecting into the river itself. And like so many cities in America, it is bouncing back. The ball's been rolling here all week at Imperial Lanes. We've been coming here for the national championship for a total of 12 consecutive years, to Toledo for 24 years. For the first time, Bud Light is embracing this great championship, thus a purse of $300,000, $55,000 to the winner. Hello again, I'm Chris Schenkel. Since 1960, when Don Carter won the PBA National Championship, we had many great names that have won it. Some of them 2 or 3 times. One man 6 times. The great Earl Anthony won it in 71, 72, 73 consecutively. And then again in the decade of the 80s, he did it again right here at Imperial Lanes. So we expect another big winner today, and it's a big event for one of the 5. And the action will get going very, very soon. But right now, let's go to my colleague, the great champion himself, Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. As proud as I am of my career, I never won a national championship, although I did finish second twice. Now, this green coat that I'm holding will be adorned by the national champion. It's something of a symbol of dominating all the players, and something he'll treasure for all of his life. Now, this is the first of the Triple Crown events for 1992, and I believe this is the toughest of all professional bowling tournaments to win. The reason why, very simply, there's more than 300 pros bowling the tournament, no amateurs at all in this tournament. It takes 7 days, 56 games just to get to the championship round. And now we're down to where a player can bowl just 1 game under pressure for $55,000. Now let's look at how the players are going to attack the championship pair. For today's national championship, the PBA has put oil down 36 feet on the lane. There's a heavier concentration in the center of the lane, then it's pushed out on both sides. The back end is dry the last 24 feet. Now for our one left-hander, Eric Forkel, he'll be playing right around the second arrow with a fairly tight line in the 1-2 pocket. Our 4 right-handers are playing different lines. Our tournament leader, Bob Vespi, is the extreme left out over at second arrow, not too wide. There's an out of bounds around the 10th board. And for other right-handers, they're right down between the second, third arrows into the 1-3 pocket, Chris, a major championship at stake.
That it is, and again, reiterating, $300,000 total, 55 to the winner, the runner-up 28, 15, 10, and 8, and we're ready to go for our capacity crowd, standing room only crowd. It's going to be Adam Colton, second television appearance ever, going against Eric Forkel of Chatsworth, California, who won the Flagstick City Open in Erie as the top seed. Now, if he can expect to win here, he'd have to win 4 games, Bo, and we've seen that happen this year.
Yes, we have it. 2 times in the last 3 weeks, the player's gone all the way through the field. So let's see what happens today.
Those people on the far left, as we look at the lanes, couldn't see the fact that the 7-pin remained.
The one thing that has plagued Eric all week long and has kept him down in the field at around 4th or 5th all week has been the 7-pin. He can't quite get what we call the ball to flip over and carry the 4 into the 7. An easy spare for him, but he's been steady all week long.
So it's a nice spare for 31-year-old Eric Forkel. Now, let's get better acquainted with Adam Colton of North Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Part-timer, pro shop owner, Bo.
Ironically, he drills the balls for our tournament leader, Bob Vespi, when Vespi's home. So obviously an excellent pro shop owner and a good part-time player here on the tour. They'll be cheering in Broward County. One of the 2 Broward County professionals. Let's replay it. Adam Colton with just a nice, smooth, easy style. He has about a 30-degree angle between his arm and the ball. And you see, that's probably the shortest backswing we see of any of the top players out here today. And he drives through with that pivot step, and he throws a very conventional style, not much hook, keeps the ball in play right around the second arrow. And really, Chris, that's the style that has dominated here at Imperial Lanes, other than Earl Anthony, for years.
The 30-year-old on his second television appearance ever with that awesome 4.6710.
Diagram the championship pair, and there's this pair of lanes. The left lane always hooks about 3 boards more than the right-hand lane. Colton didn't adjust on that shot. And slides by. Giving away a pin like that, not a good idea in the early going.
Right. So now Eric Forkel. 4 regional titles. His opponent Colton with 2 regional, but Eric won his first PBA title in Erie, Pennsylvania. We televised it. Passing over in a beautiful, powerful strike. Little smile on that face. Look at it.
Forkel gets a good break, and you watch his style right here. Now, he's almost above the shoulder by about 3 or 4 inches. The key spot, watch his right foot as he drives through, and then the angle of the ball. He's trying to play right down that second arrow, and obviously crosses over and gets a good break. And I spoke about the out of bounds in the opening. Outside the 10 board, the second arrow on each side of the lane is very oily. The ball will not hook back from that area.
All right, now increases his lead to 26 pins. Eric Forkel leading Adam Colton. 2 years ago, Adam and Curtis Odom finished 3rd in the PBA doubles event, the Showboat in Las Vegas. Now coming back after an open, shooting in the 3rd, trailing by 26. Okay, what he needed. Adam Colton shared earlier with us what winning a major championship would mean to his career.
Well, the respect that one can get from winning a major championship, the respect from the players, the amount of pride that's involved is the biggest factor for me. Not really the money, not really the title. The respect and the pride is really important.
Yes, a lot at stake here today. A lot at stake, though, with this shot. Can cut the lead to 16. A 10.
Throwing the ball a little bit harder, adjusting for that 4, 6, 7, 10 split in the second frame. Just a little shaky coming out of the chute. Adam Colton, an accuracy type player, has switched to a higher, lower surface friction ball to make the 10.
Okay, we're in our first game of the PBA National Championship. We're in Toledo, which is very proud of its Museum of Art. Works of the masters, works of every era. 4th frame. Breaking up the split, Nelson. A good break.
He did, Chris. He made the adjustment for the crossover shot in the second frame. You'll see the head pin come off the sideboard. The 5-10 will be standing. The head pin will go to the sideboard, come bouncing across and knock out the 5. And I spoke with Eric about a half hour before we went on the air, and he said, Bo, don't be surprised if I leave a few 5 pins or 10 pins. I'm going strictly for accuracy today, not trying to use much power. He feels that accuracy will win.
Okay, here's Eric Forkel's answer to the question, what winning a major championship would mean to him.
Well, Bo, a major title would mean, first of all, major money. That goes without saying, but it is definitely a lot of prestige, and it would give me the first leg of the Triple Crown. And I've seen some really top players have won that award, and that'd be a great way for me to get started.
His start was halted a little bit last year, an emergency appendectomy in Peoria, and that stopped his touring for a while, didn't it?
Did for a while, Chris, but he's sharp as ever this year.
Now, a 7-pin, the man that finished 7th at the AC Dalco, Gobel House, Torrance this year, and then, of course, won Erie, as we indicated.
Eric picking up a harder ball, and on a D durometer scale, which they measure plastics with, this ball is around 90 hardness and very shiny, so it should slide down the lane. The balls they use for strike balls are around 75 hardness. They'll hook more.
24-pin lead by Forkel. Next up, Adam Colton, North Lauderdale, Florida. Thus far this year, he's earned $3,990 part-timer. Looking for that first national championship. Other 10.
Once again, around the pocket. This championship pair, a throwback to the eras of the late 60s and early 70s, where there was a track or worn area on the right side with the lacquer finishes. We have urethane finish on the lane, but still so much of a characteristic in this right lane gives a lot of the players trouble.
Winner of this first game will meet Ryan Shafer, then Brian Gobel, and then our tournament leader, Bob Vespi from Plantation, Florida, man that has been in the top seed now the third time this year.
Adam Colton, a pretty standard type game. He's going to start right around the center of the approach. He's going to almost walk perfectly straight. And here's his key spot, right between the second and third arrows. Not the big hook, and you won't see it swing wide. He'll almost follow right through these lines. An ideal types game.
Oh, the poor guy. What bad luck today.
So far, Chris, he has had nothing good go for him. He hits light, leaves a swishing 7-10. The 5 goes in front of the 7. He's quickly up on the approach. He'll try to bounce the 10 out. We'll see what happens.
A lot of people are cheering for him. Looks at some of his friends in the audience as if to say, Now, the leader. By 38, spare up shooting in the 6th frame. First game. Leaving a 6-pin, the man that is number 5 on the money list, 39,245. So, Bo today with a first prize of 55,000, either Bob Vespi or this man could take the money lead.
Not a bad start for 12 weeks into the season, especially for Forkel, who is just improving every week on the tour, having a great winter. Eric Forkel playing a line very similar to his opponent, even though his opponent's right-handed. Eric doing the opposite on the left side. He'll be standing right around the center of the lane, and he'll have a pretty standard approach right in here. Now watch his target. It'll be right in there, and he won't swing wide. He'll come almost straight down the lane, keeping the ball in play.
Now a 7-pin.
Reminiscent of when Earl Anthony did bowl so well on this championship pair, Chris. As you said at the top of the telecast, he won the championship 3 times here, and he just kept the ball in play. 6-pin, 7-pin, 6-pin, 7-pin. Don't make mistakes in the majors. You stay in the matches. When you get loose and get some breaks, then you catch the big game.
Very smooth delivery by Eric Forkel. We're in our first match in Toledo, Ohio, known around the world for its superb glassmaking. Watch. Right now. There was Adam Colton covering the 10-pin in the 8th frame. In the 7th, he left a 3 and covered it. After an open frame, he has had no good fortune in his match against this man. Eric Forkel leads by 37 pins, spare up shooting in the 8th frame of our first match. The winner to meet, Ryan Shafer of Elmira, New York. So the Californian comes high, leaves us a 6-10. Annual championship here at Imperial Lanes. Pro-Am, over 2,400 entries this week. Okay, spare for Forkel, and here's Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Ryan Shafer, you're a pure power player. You and Vespi, do you feel you have a big advantage in this championship round going against either one of these players who really aren't carrying very well?
Well, a guy that hooks the ball definitely carries a little better. But when you're covering a lot of boards, there's a little more room for error, too. So
it's the guy who gets loose out there could have a best shot.
I think so.
All right, good luck, Ryan. Back to you, Chris.
Ryan will meet the winner, probably this man, Forkel. Ten-pin, very deliberate, Eric Forkel. He got 180 pounds on that 5'11" frame. Western Region Player of the Year. Bidding here today to become more than that in scope. .34-pin lead by Forkel as Adam Colton gets up. Adam and his wife Christine, parents of Andrew and Crystal.
Adam Colton's in a position now that he has to start striking. He can possibly bowl a 189. Forkel going at a 203 pace if he strikes spares in the 10th frame. So right now, Adam Colton needs some strikes.
Okay. Next Saturday, as we look at Herb, and that is Adam's dad, and that's his wife, Christine. Next Saturday, the Pro Bowlers Tour returns to the east, rolling into Sayville, New York. That's out on beautiful Long Island. PBA stars will be driving hard for the Toyota Long Island Open title. That's live. Toyota Long Island Open.
Adam Colton must strike in the 10th frame. Cannot win if he doesn't strike on the next two balls. The 5-7-10 almost, Chris. The players call that the Lily. And he is a little embarrassed.
Oh, I totally agree. He's a wonderful young man.
You see him playing between the second and third arrows, and he really throws this pretty good. The lanes are very slick today. Watch the ball just deflect off of the 1-3. Actually, a pin comes around and knocks out the 10. Adam Colton can't win. He will finish 5th, though. A good week.
Yes, he will, and we pat him on the back for coming out and giving it his best, making the final 5 in a huge field. ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
And a fellow St. Louisan. Now we have the first real power player coming in against Eric Forkel. Eric bowling really the proper style on the left side. You have to keep the ball in play here. The real true power players such as Cook and Albee have gotten close here, but have never been as successful as somebody who's like a down and inner like Forkel, and he's going against a real power player in Shafer.
So that first game score of 201 to Adam Colton's 155, each professional with a mere 3 strikes.
Not very good scoring, Chris, but the scoring has been better the last 4 weeks. The first 7 weeks of the tour, we only averaged 202. In the last 4 weeks, 217, so it's picked up, although it's dropped off in the first game today. Let's see what happens.
Now a look at Ryan Shafer.
Rockin' Ryan, fun guy to watch bowl. He is fun. Watch this wrist action. Nothing is kept in the bag. He gets hot. Look out.
Robbed?
That's worth it. Oh, look, Chris, look at the action there. Watch the action of the head pin now. It's going to go to the left sideboard, and the ball's just going to nick the 5. It should drive the 5 out. The head pin comes back so quickly and interferes with the 4, 5, and 7. And there's the 5. Well, here's his profile. Just a real solid power player. Comes to the top of the swing, cups wrist, good wrist action, and on that shot left the 5 pin. An easy spare to start with, but he thought he'd have a strike.
The 1987 Rookie of the Year. That'll make you hold your breath watching his shot. The last telecast was the 1988 United States Open in Atlantic City, where he finished 3rd. lost to the eventual winner, Pete Weber.
See Ryan Shafer. Now watch him. Now he's going to drift way left over here with his approach. He walks around the ball, then starts the ball out here to accommodate the big power. See it? 1, 2. Now jump over and saw on him.
5'8", 150 pounds, only 25 years old.
Well, the jury's still out on what the right-handers are going to do. Adam Colton obviously hitting around the pocket, couldn't carry. Ryan Shafer with the big ball hasn't hit around the pocket except 1 out of 2 shots. So maybe Forkel can just weave his way through this field. Let's see what happens.
And it's another 7-pin for Eric Forkel of Chatsworth, California. 31 years old. Won the flagship City Open this year for his only title.
Here's his shot. He's going to go right here, and the ball's going to go straight down through and drive right into the 1-2, but he's going to leave the solid 7. Watch that 4-pin fly right around the 7. One of his best shots, still only has a spare to show for it.
We hope you're enjoying bowling's first major tournament, first of 3. And you have an opportunity to enjoy ladies golf's first major of the year. 3-time champion Amy Alcott defends her title against Hall of Famer Pat Bradley, Nancy Lopez, and the LPGA's best in the Nabisco, Dinah Shore. And Bo, having done the first few of those, it's named for one of the grand ladies from anywhere. That Tennessean named Dinah Shore is a super person.
Very nice. Great golf tournament. You know, great bowling tournament going right here now. Forkel trailing by 1, 3rd frame.
Now a little shot making coming up.
As my little boy says, holy guacamole. That looks so good, you could not believe it. Yet he cuts through and leaves the 6-8 split. Needs to get the ball to the right of the 6-pin and drive it right over into the 8. Very makeable. The odds about 4-1 for a player of Forkel's capability.
Concentration. And execution. Couple of wonderful ingredients, Bo.
You're right, Chris. Just a super shot. That's the kind of shots you really need to have to stay close in these matches. That ball just nicks the 6, drives it into the 8, and let's see what effect it has on Ryan Shafer. You know, one of the real defensive moves, if you can have it, is when you can make a split against your opponent. Let's see if Shafer takes advantage of the lucky shot he had in the 2nd.
Three, 6, 10.
I'm going to set up this championship pair again. There's a track area between the 2nd and 3rd arrow that's been there for years. This used to be a lacquer lane surface. It used to wear there. And the right-hand lane has always had a characteristic of being about 3 or 4 boards what we call tighter than the left-hand lane. In other words, the ball will hook 3 or 4 boards less in the same area than it will on the left-hand lane. They have a little bit of trouble getting adjusted to the pair. So let's see what happens.
What does winning a major championship mean to the career of Ryan Shafer? Here's what he said.
Well, hopefully it'll make people respect my game a little more. I think people think of me as a cranker, not really a shot maker. They think of me as mediocre, and I'd like to change that.
All right, and at the moment, he has a 3-pin lead over the first game winner, Eric Forkel.
Boy, a key break there. The head pin went to the sideboard and mixed itself among the 4, 5, 7, and 8 pins, and he gets out with a really easy spare, the 8 pin. If he had had the 2-8, he would have had a very difficult spare here in the 4th frame. If he converts, he will still have a 2-pin lead through 4 frames.
Well, how about some nostalgia music here in our 30th anniversary year? 30 years ago, Connie Francis had some advice for us all. Let's listen.
Don't break the heart.
Eric Forkel. It was an important strike. Trailing by 4 pins against Ryan Shafer, whom we're looking. In the 4th frame, he left the 4-7 and spared. Now with the spare up, 5th frame, Shafer. And the first one today, 2-4-5-8. Pride and joy of Elmira, New York. One of those wonderful cities in New York State. 2 weeks we'll be going to Canandaigua for the United States Open. Next week, Long Island, Sayville. That's speed, power. Okay, Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Brian Gobel, who's in the 2nd position. Brian, the lanes seem very, very slick where nobody can really get the ball to hook at all. What is your strategy? I know you played the big hook ball all week long.
Yeah, well, I think when the lanes are this tight, the more you try to swing it, the more trouble you find. So I think I'm going to try to straighten my ball out a little bit anyway and try to keep it as, the straightest angle to the pocket. Seems like it's going to work the best today.
Sounds good to me, Brian. That's one of the old axioms, Chris, of the game of bowling. When they get real slick, go straight with the boards. Don't try to fight it. Back to you.
Into that pocket. Match all even going into that frame. Now with that strike, both have a chance to pull away here. For ever so little, but at least pull away. And look at this last-minute takeout. Reaction. Okay. Now with the strike up, here's Forkel.
Forkel trying to swing the ball and make it hook to try to carry the pins a little better. It just won't work. That oil is all the way down to the back end. He's left himself a washout. He needs to get the ball to the right side of the head pin, hit in the 1-3, drop the head pin right into the 7. That would make it. If he converts this right now, he'll still stay even in the match. If he misses, he'll fall behind by 10 or more. 6th frame.
Oh, yes. Shot making. That is today, Nelson. On spares.
Well, I agree, Chris, and really even on a strike ball, when lanes are so demanding, it's sometimes difficult sitting at home for the league player to say, how can these players have gotten this far in 7 days, 56 games, and then struggle like this? Obviously, we can see it sitting here. There's just a flood of oil as you see Eric Forkel's ball going into the 1-3 and driving out the 7 pin for the conversion. And a flood of oil, there's nothing the players can do. If they point up, it goes high. If they send it, it goes wide. There's the 25-second clock.
And he left a 7 pin.
And one other thing that goes when there's that much oil on the lanes, Chris, is the carry. The ball looks like it's rolling, but it's really hydroplaning on the surface. It's not really biting in, so when it hits the pins, it's in a slight skid. It doesn't quite get the required action. As you see the grip of Forkel with a conversion here, he trailed by 1 pin through 7 frames, 2nd game.
All right. Eric Forkel and Ryan Shafer in a tight match. We'll be back.
Our defending champion this week, the national champion, Mike Miller, not able to defend his title because of a hand injury. He'll reappear at the Firestone. Now, Ryan Shafer with a 1-pin lead, 7th frame.
Okay, now the adrenaline will start flowing. And Mom is in there with him. She's Vicky and his dad, Art. Dad couldn't make it, but I think he's watching.
You bet, Chris. And he's hoping he gets a 3rd strike here in the 8th frame to extend a 21-pin lead because he knows that Forkel really hasn't made any kind of charge. So if he can get 21 ahead, it may be enough. $10 pin. The messenger head pin comes across, almost takes out the 10 pin. Watching Ryan all week long. He had that shot going as well as anybody. Now watch the action of the head pin. There's what a power ball does. It deflects a little bit as you see it going to the left of the 10 pin. The head pin coming across doesn't quite get it. Right now with a spare, he'd have a 10 pin lead, and we're closing in on a possibility of a tie match here in the late going.
Okay. Here's Eric Forkel. If you just joined us, he won the first game with 3 strikes. Total 201 to Adam Colton's 155. Trails by 10. Another 10 pin.
Well, Forkel doing as he has done for 18 frames so far in the national championship, keeping the ball in play. He stayed around the pocket, has not had an open frame. He's made a terrific shot in the 3rd frame where he converted the 6-8 split, and right back in the 6th frame converting the 1-3-6-7. No opens has kept him in both matches. Right now he'll trail by 11 here in the 8th frame.
The winner will go against the number 2 seed, Brian Gobel of Merriman, Kansas. And then our tournament leader, colorful Bob Vespi of Plantation, Florida.
Looks pretty relaxed, doesn't he, Chris?
Mm-hmm, he does.
That power ball he has, I think if he could, if I had that in my hand, I'd have to be relaxed too. You know, if you get it close, it's going to strike. Now here's the concentration of Forkel, 9th frame.
Gosh, he wanted that one. 6.
Well, it's a strange thought when you get behind in a match like 10, 11, 12 pins as Forkel, as he looks to the side. Is time running out on me? Will my opponent make a mistake? You almost wonder. When the lanes are easy, you say to yourself, I can strike, 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 and catch up. Not today. Obviously, not many strikes, as Forkel only has 4 strikes so far. He's almost completed 2 games, but he still has a chance to win.
And Forkel could become our first 2-time winner. In our 12th week in 1977 and 1980, it took 13 weeks to get an individual to win 2 in the same season, winter tour.
The contorted grip on Ryan Shafer. A 3/4 grip, digs those fingers in between the 1st and 2nd knuckles, then collapse that wrist, and then watch him uncork it. He gets some stuff on it.
What? And he doesn't want to be known as a cranker, right?
Woo. Well, it's been a while since we've seen one like this. The players called a domino shot. The 5-pin drives into the 8, comes back and hits the 4, the 2, and the 1. Now watch the action of the pins. What a terrific break. We talked about that out of bounds. There it was. The ball was out in that area. It's as good a break as I've ever seen in a national championship. Now he's in great position.
Don't miss any of our telecasts each week because you'll see anything and everything in bowling, believe me. And there was a 2-4.
Well, the situation for Ryan Shafer is simply this. Convert the 2-4 and get 9 pins. He will shut out Eric Forkel. If he doesn't convert or doesn't get 9 pins or a strike in the fill ball, the second ball in the 10th frame, Forkel can either tie or win the match in the 10th. But Chris, I don't know what would be going through Forkel's mind. He hasn't had any strikes yet, so kind of interesting.
The spare, and now
You have to go with your best shot. You have to give it all you got. 9 pins, no gimme. We've seen players struggle out there all day long. 9 or a strike, he wins. 8 or less, he can possibly lose the match.
Oh, 6.
I've seen it all, but
Yep,
you really have to kind of go with your strike shot, and he has opened the door for Eric Forkel. For Forkel, he has only 1 strike so far in this whole game, and it has not been on this lane.
We said stay tuned. You'll see everything.
You got it. Here's what Forkel needs. He must strike on the next 2 balls and get 9 to win. Anything less, he loses.
first strike of
the appreciative crowd here in Toledo at the National Championship, seeing two great players pushed all the way to the maximum. Ryan Shafer finished at 200, has to just sit and watch as Eric Forkel has to reach back for everything he's got. The graphic says it all. 1 strike and 9. Anything less, it's either a tie or Forkel loses.
strike in the 5th, strike in the 10th.
Ryan Shafer, get ready for a tie match. What will happen if Forkel gets 8? Ryan Shafer will go up and bowl a match game similar to the 9th and 10th frames. 9 or strike, he wins. 8 tie, 7 lose.
Tip of the week. Bo's tip this week features multiple champion Randy Peterson, who has some advice for aspiring college and pro golfers.
3 players, pretty low scores. 200 average, 214 to make the top 24. Danny Wiseman, Parker Bone close again. Marshall Holman trying to get the 3rd jewel in the Triple Crown this week, just fell a little short. Chris Warren, a winner earlier this winter, the Fireball in 11th. Mark Williams hung right there in 12th place. Ballard, he'll defend his Toyota title next week. Steve Wunderlich, Tommy DeLutz Jr., his dad has to be proud of him. Lizzie and German, 2 good young players. There in B.B. Lawrence, 19th. Doug Kent, a Masters champion. Branham has had a great winter so far. Billy Hall, Andy Nyer. Nyer improving all the time. And rounding out the top 24, Brandon, young player, bowls at Carolina Lanes, is the home of the Johnny Petraglia Championship.
And next week, Toyota Long Island Open. We look forward to going back to that beautiful spot on Long Island. That's a $150,000 event. And then, 2 weeks from today, the 2nd jewel in the crown, the U.S. Open, Bowling Proprietors, Canandaigua, New York. As now, Brian Gobel of Merriman, Kansas, goes against the Californian with 2 victories under his belt, Eric Forkel.
Well, he couldn't have had any better breaks than he got in the second 2 shots in the 10th frame to win that match by 2 pins. Let's see if he can jump on it and menage it into a national championship.
And he's left the 2-pin, the left-hander.
Eric Forkel, who is almost a self-instructor for a while, and then he went to Lenny Mal, who is one of the great instructors from Phoenix, Arizona, the coach of Dave Davis. And when he's not around Lenny for instructions, Chris, he uses a video camera, and that's a great idea. A lot of the players use that on tour, and it's good for any of the players, even at home.
All right, now we get to meet again. 165-pound right-hander from Merriman, Kansas, Brian Gobel, 2-time champion, a Kansas University graduate, 1985. Leaves the 2-5.
Brian Gobel, just a powerful body and a powerful game. He takes an ideal 5-step delivery, somewhat of an obtuse angle at the top of his swing up there with his wrist pretty flat. He's not a real power player. Look at this good position right there. That's what you want to look for in a player, and a good solid finish at the line. However, that wasn't good enough to convert the 2-5, as the extreme lubricity of the lanes is showing up in the players. Look at the ball trying to roll, trying to hook, trying to hook. Adios cannot get up to the 2-pin. I think all these players are surprised at how slick they are. He'll move to the right on the lane. Now watch this Gobel. Now he'll drift a little bit, and he'll try to be right between the 2nd and 3rd arrows. It has to go pretty direct. Chris, I said between the 2nd and 3rd arrows. We saw him go between the 3rd and 4th, so he missed a good 5 boards left, and the first player to really have one get away from him, he's left a somewhat of an unusual spare, as you see the replay for a right-hander, the 1, 3, 6, 10. All she can do is hope for this, throw it in the pocket, but he doesn't know where the pocket is.
And his deliver, his stroke, his release so smooth. There he is, Brian Gobel, dedicating this tournament to his late father, who died a few weeks ago in February. Eric Forkel, 7 strikes coming into this match. This is his 3rd.
And he makes a pretty good shot here. He finally got that ball, what we call a flip on the back end. That's the same shot he left the washout, the 1-3-6-7 in his 2nd match against Ryan Shafer. This time, you can see the oil on the ball. Look at his index finger, and right in front of him, see all that oil? Man, oh man, it's no matter what you do to a bowling ball, it's harder to get the roll smooth than that much oil. Let's see what he does.
You better thank that pin.
4-pin, the 2nd pin on the left-hand part of your screen. Just sits there, sits there. Once he knocks that 3-pound 7-pin about 9 degrees off center axis, it will fall over, and he's got a double.
3rd frame. Leaving a 2-pin, trailing by 21. Brian Gobel.
What do you do when you're struggling along under pressure like this? Gobel had the right answer in our interview. You have to what we call square it up. Cut that hook down, go straight into the pocket. Needs to do that on both lanes. Forget the power.
Okay, a win today would give Brian Gobel his 3rd title, but this would be his 1st major. Here's what it would mean.
Well, I think it would really help my career. I mean, a lot of people would respect me a lot more, but I've never really looked at any of the majors as meaning anything else. I'd like to win any title. Any title I can win, I'm going to take.
You bet. Oh, it's more like the Gobel of the past that we know. It's a cloudy and cool day in Toledo, but there's always time for fun at the Toledo Zoo. Brian Gobel, right lane. Oh, yes, gets a break. First one of this match for Gobel as we go to Nelson Burton.
Thank you, Chris. Bob Vespi, our tournament leader. Bob, the lanes look ugly out there. I mean, nobody's striking, and you got to bowl 1 game for $55,000. What's the strategy?
Well, I'm just going to try to keep my cool and make 10 good shots again. Hopefully luck goes my way like it's gone for some others already today.
You still going to try to play the big hook, or you're going to try to go down and in?
I'm going to try to keep it tamed down today.
All right. He's got the right attitude. Back to you, Chris.
And look out for Brian Gobel. He's strung 3 now. Started out shaky as can be. 2-time winner going against 1-time champion Eric Forkel is in his 3rd match. If you just joined us, with victories in the 1st over Colton, 201 to 155, and then over Shafer, 202 to 200. Now, leading by 1, strike up can go back to an 11-pin lead. Spare in the 4th, strike in the 5th. Okay, accepting the pressure here.
Forkel, a very cerebral player, never loses his cool, and this is the first time he's been pushed in the first 3 games, and he answers the call. Now, Gobel got a great break in the 6th frame as he tripped the 2-pin off the sideboard, but that's been the story today. All the breaks have gone Forkel's way. Let's see what happens now that he's pressured. He can regain his 21-pin lead with a 3rd consecutive strike here in the 7th.
Leaving the 2-4-7.
Forkel had been going with a little bit more loft over the foul line this game. That particular shot, he laid shorter, just rolled at the foul line. It hooked too quickly, drift is high, and now he's got the 2-4-7. Get the ball in here, let it drift into the 4 and 7. Not a tough spare, but under this pressure, we can see anything happen today. Look at the perspiration on his forehead.
Ooh, buried it. Careless, perhaps. Leaving the 2 in an open frame. We'll be back.
Seen some unusual ones today, Chris. Another tough, unusual spare. He needs this to stay in the lead.
Look at that. You know, Bo, the cast members from ABC Television's daytime drama Loving got a chance to polish their bowling skills Thursday night at the Leisure Time Lanes in the Port Authority building in New York. It was a great way for them to prepare for their new set. It's a bowling establishment called Pins in a fictional town called Corinth, and I'll give you some scores a little later.
All right, I'm looking forward to it as Eric Forkel in the semifinal game leads by 1, 8th frame.
Ooh.
Well, just about replicates a shot we saw in the first game. Forkel almost leaving the 5-10 split, knocks out the 5-pin, has the 10. And once again, we're in a position in the 8th and late frames of a possible tie match. Remember, Forkel barely won the second match by 2 pins, 202 to 200. Right now, both players going at a 204 and a 203 pace.
All right, that's a spare for Forkel, the Californian, and that's where our first major of the year in golf will take place. Continuing, third round, 3-time champion Amy Alcott, Nancy Lopez, Pat Bradley, along with the hostess, Dinah Shore. That's next here on ABC.
Forkel, 1-pin lead at 9th frame, semifinal, national championship.
Won the first 2 matches, 201 to 155, 202 to 200. Eric Forkel. And in the Loving cast at the Port Authority Lanes in New York, feisty Stacy Forbes rolled to victory with a 123, and Cooper Alden close with a 121.
Not much higher right here at the national championship today, though.
Brian Gobel. All right, there are 2 really cheering spectators. His mom and, of course, Kelly, his wife, who is expecting.
Drove all night long from Merriam, Kansas to watch son and husband bowl. Right now, he can take the lead. He trails by 1 pin. He cannot shut out Forkel. It's down to the last frame. How tough a shot has that got to be? He has completely struggled on this left-hand lane. Remember, in the second frame, he left the 1-3-6-10. In the 8th frame, he left the 1-3-8-10, completely off the chart, and now he can possibly throw one more strike to put Forkel in the rears by 19 pins, but Forkel can determine his own destiny. The 2-4-8-10. The situation for Gobel is very simply this. He'll be in the 200s. He cannot shut out Forkel. Forkel will need at least 2 strikes or 1 strike to win.
So it's a 208 for the man from Kansas, 2-time winner.
Eric Forkel must strike on this ball and get a decent count, like 5 or 6 pins. That's automatic. The one that isn't automatic is this shot. Cannot win, cannot go into the final if he does not strike on this ball.
What a pressure player as we saw in the Flagship City Open. This is a man who won the first 2 matches shakily, tough conditions, and here he is.
You almost empathize with Brian Gobel. He realizes that all Eric Forkel needs is 8 pins on 2 balls to win the match. It's a winner, Chris. He'll go into the final match.
All right. Give you the final score when we come back as ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Championships 2 times. We'll miss him. One of the great guys in the sport of bowling.
Yes. Here we go now with the championship match. And like Billy Allen, Eric Forkel from the left side.
The winner of this tournament gets a 3-year exemption to the Firestone Tournament Champions, and obviously $55,000 at stake.
Hopping off to the left of the lane, hoping that the 6 would go. It didn't.
Left-handers have won many, many major championships. The long 56-game formats, you go back and look at Earl Anthony, Dave Davis, Mike Albee, Mike McGrath, and so on, forth down the line. Forkel could add his name to that list going against Vespi.
That's a spare for 3-game winner, Eric Forkel of Chatsworth, California. Now here he is. Bob Vespi, 24 years old, youngest in the field of 5. 3rd time he's been the top seed. That's this year.
Well, he bowled just 7 tournaments last year. He only cashed in 2, and now through 12 as you see his style. You want to see the real power style of the Pro Bowlers Tour. This man has been, when he gets it, dominant out here on the tour. Look at the bent elbow. Look at this. Look at the pivot step. Now watch this wrist action as he drives through the shot. And look where he's playing that lane between the 3rd and 4th arrow, out almost into the out of bounds, what we called out the oily area, way down the lane, and swings it back. He looks sharp.
Well, the 10 went, but not the 4, 6, 7 for Bob Vespi of Plantation, Florida. And he looked at it this way, that he's guaranteed $28,000.
Well, I think that's a bad attitude, Chris.
So do I.
4, 7, 10. He can just really, really be a dominant player out here. He needs to learn to win in that championship round. So far for Eric Forkel, almost every opponent has defeated himself. Last match, Brian Gobel gave him his best run. Forkel was up to the task, throwing a double in the 9th and 10th frames. Now, Vespi has opened in the 2nd. No pressure yet on Forkel, who has won 3 matches.
Nicely done. Come on.
What he has is that nobody else has is basically he's lined up into that right-hand lane.
Tomorrow on ABC Sports, World League football hits hard with regional action. The 1991 Western Division champion Birmingham Fire meet the rival San Antonio Riders, or Sacramento surges east to meet the Ohio Glory live at 1 Eastern, 12 noon Central Pacific tomorrow on ABC. We're live in Toledo. That's strike. And his 3 victories, and now we're in the championship game. Eric Forkel.
Well, what Bob Vespi is going to show up in his championship round appearance in Las Vegas, he bowled 150. In Winter Haven, Florida, he lost to Chris Warren, but bowled a solid 200 game. Right now, he trails by 22 pins, just the 3rd frame.
And he is just trying to find it.
Won't have time the way Forkel's going. You see Bob Vespi driving through the lane. Plenty of turn, plenty of revolution on the ball, but it's not biting the surface. Slides through, leaves the 2, 4, and 8. And goes right by it. Just absolutely no surface friction at all for him to work with. He has opened 2 frames in a row, and he really, really looks like he's struggling. And obviously trailing by 34 pins. What do you do? I think the only thing Vespi can do is just keep what we call sawing on that ball and hope something good happens.
And now he is left with the 310. And, you know, this disappointing for him in many ways, including one family way. He said he wanted to bowl well today for his Uncle Bob, for whom he was named, up in Herkimer, New York, who's celebrating his birthday. Okay, more like it. Bob Vespi, the Floridian, against the Californian, Eric Forkel. We'll be back to spare in the 4th, covering the 6-pin. Eric Forkel, the leader, by 33. He's won, if you just joined us, the first 3 games here.
What can Bob Vespi do? He's a one-dimensional player. He stands left, throws right, and puts everything he can on a bowling ball, and it's not working today. Let's see what's going through his mind. Well, right now, if he happens to just get 2 of these pins, Bob Vespi will have a measly 60 in the 5th frame. You double that, and he bowls 120. Not very much. He's ready for your new program that's coming on pins, I think, Chris.
Well, yes, that Loving series, that's true. Bob Vespi, winning his first title, has eluded Bob. Taking a major today would mean a lot.
Well, my first title is the most important title to me. I'll get to bowl the Firestone, and this is a major title. It's the first leg of the Triple Crown, and this will give me a 3-year exemption to the Firestone, so that'll be like icing on the cake.
That icing is hard to come by.
You bet. And
looking at Mendy. Look at, well, that face registers the whole story.
You're right.
Beautiful face, but sad. Okay.
Eric Forkel has a 50-pin lead through 5, can make it 60. Our statistician, Del Ballard Jr., reminds us that Vespi can bowl 199, but he hasn't even come close yet.
All right, leaving a 6-pin. Del Ballard, scorekeeper supreme and great champion, is the defending champion of the Toyota event, Sayville, Long Island.
From Toyota, we go up to the U.S. Open, the second jewel of bowling's Triple Crown, and then the Tums Classic in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, going up to see Ken Weston, folks.
Okay, this man could become the leading money winner. As you see, Eric Forkel is in the number 6 spot. The winner today will get $55,000. Vespi has that opportunity to become number 1 as well.
I've never been in a position that Eric Forkel is in. Bowling for a major championship, 50-pin lead, 4 frames to go, and knowing your opponent almost has no chance. It's got to be a lot of fun. He still has to keep his work in front of him. A lot of money at stake, but he really has control of this match.
Only one thing certain, I believe, that one of them will become the leading money winner, and the runner-up will become the second.
That's for
money
sure.
earner. Okay.
Well, the major titles obviously pay a lot more money. Bud Light kicking a lot of money in this championship, and I'd like to see it a little closer. We'll see what happens. Whoops, he may be looking for the barn already, partner.
Eric Forkel with $39,245. Bob Vespi struggling with $37,004. The winner, $55,000. Runner-up, $28,000 today.
If there's any glimmer, any hope for Bob Vespi, it's got to happen right now in the 7th and 8th frames.
Spare up. Boy. Timely.
We've seen it so often when an opponent, no matter how far, has the other player down and gives him an opening, as you see Forkel missing the 7-pin in the 7th. The other player seems to jump right back. This is a gigantic shot for Vespi, though. It's kind of throwing balls down the middle of the lane, Chris. The ball hitting the thumb hole all the way down, not even close. Quickly up on the approach. Vespi struggling along at a 159 pace.
We've had so much struggling here today, Bo, as we don't choose a particular bowler. We don't root for any singular bowler. Root for them all. I think I've done more body English today. I'm going to have a sore back tomorrow. Trying to get pins down for him with body English.
You almost have to empathize when they really cannot knock any pins down. Forkel going at a 190 pace has a big lead.
And he left a 2-4.
Let's see if there's any way that Vespi can win the match. Let's take him, as they say, off the sheet. He has a 179 possibility. That would force Eric Forkel to mark 2 out of the last 3 frames. This is the 8th. A mark here and 1 in the 8th or 9th frames would lock it up. That's considering that Vespi could possibly throw 4 strikes right here at the tail end of the game.
Okay. ABC Television's daytime drama Loving. Louis Slavinsky of that series and Allison Rescott shot 103 and 101, but the other stars, Ava Rescott and Dinah Lee Mayberry and Clay Alden and super publicist Lisa Klausner, they didn't give scores, but they had fun bowling.
Right now, this man's having fun. He needs a mark in either the 9th or 10th frames to be the 1992 national champion. There it is.
31 years old. Mike Albies, as I recall, his first title was first of 2 PBA National Championships, so getting a major under your belt, though, is motivating.
No doubt. And Forkel, who has won before, has got that major. Vespi going through the motions here. Not much you can say about it. 155 pace if he makes this difficult spare.
You know, the top seed coming into this week has won only 3 of the 11 tournaments. So here's Vespi, top seed.
And Vespi quickly finishing. It'll possibly be a 130 game, Chris. So let's give him 9 out right here. It would be in the 130s. 133, partner.
Yes, it's been a tough day for not only Bob Vespi, but 3 of the others, but the big champion is Forkel. We're speaking to you from Toledo, and we'll be back.
I don't know what to say. That was probably the greatest match I've ever bowled in.
I would think so. Would you take the trophy, the Budweiser Eagle, and the 55 grand from Darryl? I hope it's... Okay.
All right. I want to thank everybody here.